Help us keep the Product Porch lights on by giving at patreon.com/the Product Porch. Please review the podcast on your favorite platform. Your reviews help new listeners discover us. Thanks.
And I said, Jen, who can help me in marketing, or who's my marketing person that's going to help me generate this awareness? And she's like, I'm looking at.
Welcome to the Product Porch with Joe Gali, Todd Blackiere, and me, Ryan Cantwell. Our topic today is combining the product manager and product marketer roles. Should we do this? Todd, Joe, and I share our opinions. Now settle in, folks, because on the Product Porch, every topic is a product topic. All right, guys, I've got something I want to share. Back when I was gearing up for a major product launch, kind of midway through my career, we had a product marketing manager on the team. And I got to tell you, it was my first time working with one through a product launch. And by the way, shout out to Julie. But honestly, I had no idea where my job as senior product manager ended and hers began as product marketing manager. We both reported to the same person in the organization. We would go to the same meetings. We were talking about a lot of the same things. But what really got me is when stakeholders would ask me for input on things like messaging. And I'm sitting there thinking, wait, isn't that the product marketing manager's job? And then they'd want me to present a value proposition. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is on me. I felt like we were always trying to figure each other out all the time. And it really got me thinking, guys, are we supposed to have two roles doing very similar things? Or does it make more sense to combine them? But first, I want to hear from you. How do you define these roles? What is a product manager? Todd, I'd love to hear from you. How do you define product manager?
Well, first off, I tell people all the time, you know what the hardest part about being a product manager is?
Explaining what you do.
Explaining what you do. That's the toughest part of a product manager. But ultimately, what a product manager should be doing is determining how, through creating value for the customer, you can deliver value for the business.
Oh,
so it's
profound.
connecting customer value to business outcomes. And they do that by way of identifying problems, determining which problem is the right one to solve, and leading the right way to solve that problem. Building the right thing, right?
Building the right thing. I like that. So, Joe, I want to throw to you. How would you define product marketing manager?
Well, shout out to my girl, Hillary. She was the epitome of product marketing manager at a previous role. And so it's a partnership with the product manager. Their role is really, or their outcomes are really focused on awareness, right? We, as product managers, identify an opportunity or a problem to be solved. The product marketing manager is going to help generate that interest. They're going to help us identify how and where we're going to get that visibility of the product. They're going to help with perhaps refining the messaging. They're going to help with maybe refining the proof points or even the packaging around some of the new techniques or solutions that we identify as product leaders.
Okay, I'm hearing some similarities. Am I wrong?
Oh, no. There's certainly a Venn diagram. I think there's certainly a Venn diagram.
There's a Venn diagram. Yes. So can I just elaborate a little bit? Okay. So we worked in fintech and we have, what are the kind of like, what's the Chinese menu? Like, what are the opportunities to create awareness for this new product that we're developing? And I'll tell you where her and her boss, Andy, were amazing, were in the vein of, all right, when do you think you're going to deliver this, Joe? And I would say, well, I'm thinking we're going to be done in February. And he'd say, that's a bad idea because between January and March, it's tax season. And So if you want to create the greatest amount of awareness and visibility for this new product, you want to wait until after tax season. You know what I mean? And that, I feel like, is really where the clear delineation was between I have an idea, a problem to be solved, and how am I going to get it in the hands of the customers and get the right awareness?
I'm listening to you, Joe, and I can't help but think, shouldn't you have some awareness to what else is going on? Or are you that myopically focused on your product line?
Okay. So I knew you were going to throw it down like that. That's fine. You can throw it down. That's
just shove it in there.
He's just like, no. This is like Ryan, like episode 2. Like, no, he's going to just do that again on me. Okay. So time for me to tell my story. All right.
Let's hear it. Lay it on me.
All right. So start a new role, publishing company. Todd can probably relate to this. And we were, doing some really cool things like new mobile apps, ebooks, digital subscriptions, the whole gamut. And I remember 90 days going into my boss's office and I said, all right, we got these new products. And I said, Jen, who can help me in marketing, or who's my marketing person that's going to help me generate this awareness? And she's like, I'm looking at him. Oh, cool. Right. So I had to wear both hats. And that's where, but we were smaller, right? I wasn't competing against other initiatives. Enterprise marketing was much different or focused on different things. So in that scenario, it made total sense for it to be one person.
So you're saying that what's important here in determining if these two roles should be one or different is the size of the organization.
It's one of the factors. I don't know if it's the only factor, but it's a major contributor in my perspective. And
what's interesting is that we know that Airbnb has combined these roles.
You just laid there. You walked me into that one time.
Hold on. Wait,
Todd was just waiting. He was just waiting. He was just setting me up like a bowling pin. He was just waiting.
I put the Reese's Pieces down in the forest. It's not my fault that you followed them right into my house.
Way to bring in E.T.
on you.
Thank you. The majority of our audience probably wasn't even born when that movie came out. All right, go ahead. All right, so
there are large companies now doing this, right?
Yeah.
And these are companies that have many different products or many different product components going at one time, a larger platform, larger teams, large marketing efforts, especially when you're talking about consumer products. And yet they don't seem to see the need for both a product manager and a product marketing manager. So maybe we could start there. From what you recall, what's some of the thinking behind that? Like, what is that thinking that's driving hey, this should be one role, doesn't need to be two?
So let's remind our listeners, right? Was it maybe 2 years ago? Airbnb created a lot of noise in the product management community when they said they were eliminating the product manager role, when in fact they are combining the product manager role and the product marketing role. Do I have that right?
That's right.
That was basically what the news was in the product management community. And I know LinkedIn had many different articles about this. And so, we've heard before, much to Ryan's chagrin, that the product manager is like the CEO of a product, right?
Yeah.
So, like my old boss, Jennifer, well, yeah, you identify the idea, you get it out, you find ways to make people aware of it. Where are your customers?
I think some of this actually stems from the misunderstanding of what a product manager's role is.
Oh, 100%.
So when I defined it earlier, I talked about connecting customer value to business outcomes. I talked about, understanding which is the right problem to focus on and the right thing. If you see a product manager's job, it reminds me of Office Space. I've seen an Office Space.
Yeah.
With the Bobs, the consultants, and they're badgering him. They're interviewing the one guy, and they're asking him, like, what do you do? And he says, I take the requirements from the customer and I give them to the engineers and they build it. And they're like, so you just pass along a message why can't the engineers just take that message from the customer? Because they don't have people skills. I have people skills. And he's yelling at him. Right. And the Bobs are looking at him as like, this guy, we get rid of this position. if your understanding of a product manager is just that, then yeah, it makes sense to look at it and go, why aren't our engineers just doing that then?
Yeah.
Let's just hire engineers with people skills.
Yeah, exactly. And this is pure speculation, but it feels like organizations see product marketing as being closer to execution. You're going to move the needle if you do those activities. Where some of the fuzzier stuff, again, referencing our conversation with UX overlap with product management, it's that perpetual dilemma of cut discovery, focus on the delivery.
And we've been talking about this from a task perspective, like what someone is doing. I'd love to talk about it from an outcome and a value perspective.
Okay.
So let's talk about that. What are the outcomes from a PMM perspective versus a product manager perspective?
So I'm going to get very specific to try to find some differences. I think a product marketing manager, a primary outcome for them is still discovery, but it's to understand the buyer persona clearly. That's their priority. A product manager might place some precedent or priority, if there's two separate roles, that is, on the user persona, finding the problem to solve. But of course, they're both collaborating on these things. It's just like who's the primary, who's the secondary on each, right?
Interesting. You see it the same way, Joe?
Yeah, I really like Ryan's delineation on the buyer persona for the product marketing role versus the user persona. Actually, gold star on that one, Ryan Cantwell. I mean, yeah, I think we've seen this. The product manager gets the product, identifies the product on the shelf, and the product marketing manager gets it off the shelf, right? That's their job. Their job is to have the shelf be empty because you're selling it so well. Strategically thinking, it's the channels. Like when I think of the product marketing manager, I think about the levers I'm going to pull to create that awareness, understanding where my buy is going to be or where my investment dollars are going to be to raise that awareness. So it's like maximizing my investment. Those are some outcomes more leaning towards the product marketing role versus the product manager role.
So I love these descriptions. I want to tell you about my relationship with Cinnabon.
So if you,
by the way, I make a great knockoff Cinnabon for Thanksgiving breakfast. Just
so Joe, if you thought my opinions about fail fast were strong, I really don't like Cinnabon.
Oh,
here's my relationship.
I don't know who you are.
Here's my relationship with Cinnabon. I love Cinnabon. I used to love it. I would devour it. One time we were at an airport and they were getting rid of Cinnabon and we just got a bunch in our arms to go home with. It was fantastic. I am no longer a sweets person. I just can't take it. So when I see Cinnabon, it looks delicious. It smells delicious. But the last time I ate one, I bought one at a fair and I turned to my wife and I said, this is probably my last Cinnabon. It did not deliver when I actually put it into my system. Why do I say this? Ryan, your take to me is a Cinnabon take.
A Cinnabon
it smells
take.
Delicious to me. But in practice, I need my product managers to deeply care about the buyer persona. And let me pull Joe in here.
Fair.
So while I'm just throwing garbage at Ryan, let me pull Joe in so you're not alone. So I want you to think about your resume right now. I want you to think about what you put on your resume. And I assume you're smart to put outcomes on there. And I'm assuming you're smart enough to put some data against that. Without being specific, what are some things that are on your resume?
Growth, revenue increase.
Yeah, like revenue, profit, some other things.
Efficiency gain.
So explain to me how you achieve those outcomes, how we can credit those outcomes towards you
Well,
if it isn't your responsibility
hold on.
to drive those outcomes.
I was not that black and white. So so I do agree that a product manager should deeply care about the customer. However, it is when you have a separation of roles, a product marketing, product manager, I think the product manager can not be the one who is 100% on point for defining all of the buyer personas that potentially need to be messaged to, sought after, promoted to, all that stuff. Similarly, the product marketing manager doesn't need to be beholden to every user persona that could potentially be in front of your product or service, whatever that is. So you come together. So the understanding needs to be there, but it's in the responsibility that lies the product marketing manager on bringing that knowledge to the organization.
So this is where my opinion differs, is because I see the difference as more output oriented than outcome oriented.
Okay, say more.
I see it more as what the individual in this role delivers to achieve that outcome. So we want growth. We want to drive growth. As a product manager, I need to deeply understand who our buyer persona is. Because if when they look at our product, they don't see value, it doesn't matter how much the users love it. If I have, and we're talking about those roles being separate, so we're referring to a B2B, more B2B situation, because B2C is pretty much buyer, user, same person.
Yep.
So I need to understand how to deliver value to them. When I talk about customer value, it can't just be the user. I got to do both. Now, if I'm a product marketing manager and I want, as you said, Joe, I want the product to fly off the shelf. I want sales to have the easiest time selling this thing. It's like they just walk in, they just flash a picture and it's bought. If I want that to happen, I need to be able to entice the users and influencers to help promote this thing. Especially when we talk about product-led growth. If we talk about anything in the freemium, free trial space, right? I know that I'm going to get far more success if my users are helping me sell that product. And so I have to be really concerned with, okay, where's the user? Where does the user find value? How do I message it to them? So let's assume, go ahead, Ryan, you were going to respond to that.
No, I was just going to say, I'm sure people listening right now are thinking of situations that we all probably have run into where the product marketing person felt like they were brought in way too late.
Yep.
It was way too late.
We talked about having an episode at some point where it's our repentance episode. We come in and apologize for all our product mistakes.
The penance
I
episode.
owe something to a product marketing manager out there that I've abused in this way. Before I knew better, that's exactly what I would do.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, by the way, we need to launch this in 2 weeks. Here's what it is.
Yeah.
Which is so hard. I mean, and I didn't understand at the time how challenging that was.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is let's imagine we're doing it together. Right. We're all arm in arm. We're like Wizard of Oz going down the yellow brick road, right? I guess in that case, what's the name? Dorothy is a product manager. Dorothy's a product manager. Maybe the Scarecrow.
I would want to know what you're going to associate the product marketing manager. Are they a coward? Do they not have a brain? Do they not have courage?
Joe, I don't know if you ever saw the end of the Wizard of Oz. But they all had those things.
Oh, goodness gracious, Todd. Here we go. All right.
Oz never did give nothing to the Tin Man.
I know.
That the Tin Man didn't already have. Okay. Anyway.
Okay. Anyways.
Now I'm quoting.
Bringing it back.
Quoting classic rock. But anyway, they're all marching down the yellow brick road, right? Together. If so, you have the tech lead, the UX designer, the product marketing manager, and the product manager together. In that case, when I, as a product manager, am designing my discovery guides, I'm thinking, how do I identify the right problem? How do I validate this is the right concept? How do I find value? Product manager, marketing manager is thinking, yes, but how do I know how to sell this? How do I know where they see value, how to message it? How do they talk about it so I can speak their language? Then when we're interviewing, I'm listening for, okay, the signals that tell me there's value here, the signals that where I say, okay, I got the problem right. Let's make sure we're solving it the right way. They're listening for, okay, how do they talk about it? What are the stories they tell? What are the proof points we might need for this? So to me, it's a lot. You just look at the discovery phase. It's a lot on one individual to think with both of those perspectives, I should say, both those perspectives at the same time, and then create the outputs that come out of that.
And this is making me think of something, guys. I went through a transformation in an organization where the product manager and product owner roles were split. So the person prior was wearing both hats, broke it apart. And we made the mistake. What we did when we broke the product owner role out, we moved it under engineering. That wasn't the right thing to do. They needed to continue to report up through the product organization. But I found something interesting. 62% of product marketers report to marketing, not product.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
I know.
But wait a minute. Remember something though. Okay, product manager is typically an individual contributor. I'm going to say typically, right? Yeah. Typically, they don't have people reporting into them. Right. Their job is to collaborate and work across the organization. They're going to pull in engineering. They're going to pull in sales. They're going to pull in marketing, UX, regulatory, compliance, risk, whatever. I don't think it matters where marketing reports into, because like your product posse, your team, you're bringing them along with you. Those are the people you're in meetings with all the time. It should be completely irrelevant where they report into.
I'm doubling down on this metaphor, and I'm going to regret it when I have to edit this podcast episode. I'm doubling down. Each of those people going to see Oz served a role. They each had a specific role, and you needed all of them, or else they wouldn't have made it. They wouldn't have defeated the witch without each of their individual roles, with the intelligence of the scarecrow and the heart of the Tin Man and whatever. Okay,
the courage of the lion. Yep.
Right, but their objective was the same. They all the same objective.
Yeah.
Now that's where things get fuzzy, especially in larger organizations.
Correct.
We talked about it in the UX episode, where we talked about a UX designer where they report into a separate, I believe we did, maybe we didn't, but where they report into a separate organization. They start focusing maybe too much on keeping those design values, ends up becoming the point of view. And they lose track of the purpose of the product because they're so focused on, but we need everyone to adhere to these design rules. That, I think, is the same thing that happens with marketing. When product marketing managers are in the marketing organization, they're thinking about the greater marketing organization goals.
Yes.
And they start to lose sight, or maybe more importantly than lose sight, lose touch with which team they actually belong to.
Yeah.
And the team they belong to is the product team, not to the marketing team.
That's when they become copywriters and content creators.
Correct.
When they are part of the marketing team, because now you've got a sales team that says, give me leads. Just do that.
They don't have skin in the game. And what is their metrics at that point? What are they being measured on? They're being measured on how many customer stories did you get out? How many, campaigns did you run? They're starting to be measured. How many leads did you generate? They're measured on these metrics that aren't actually contributing or are actually measuring the product success.
Yes, the product marketing role may not report into product. That's okay. Just like engineering, UX, design, etc. We bring them along. The key is that they have to have skin in the game. Their goals, each of the individuals that are part of the team, the product squad, the product posse, their goals should be aligned with the product goals, because that's the measure of success.
Correct.
Okay. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But
I will say this: I just found my own hypocrisy. If you ask me where UX designers should report into, I will say product. Ask me where product marketing managers should report into, I'll say product. Ask me where engineers should report into.
Product.
No, engineering.
That's my.
You want your sales
I don't
team?
even agree with marketing.
That's my hypocrisy.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree.
Product marketing managers reporting into product. Why not? No, let me make this clear, Joe. I don't mean reporting to the product manager.
But the
I mean, that
product
the product
organization,
manager and the product marketing manager have the same boss. That's what I mean.
yeah, I guess I respectfully disagree. I think there are brand standards. There's consistency across organization. There's a brand messaging. There's a brand tone. There's a customer voice. There is what are the channels that we're going to leverage. I don't know that necessarily is in the product organization. I think that's in the marketing organization. I could be talked out of it, but that's where I've seen it most successful because I'm not the only product in the organization.
You know,
there's
what's
other products I'm competing with.
You know what's interesting is the most successful where I've seen it, where I thought it was most effective. I'll give a shout out to Lorena. But one thing I think that Lorena, reason that she was so effective was that she reported into my boss. We reported into the same manager. And she worked across all the products, but she understood the vision of the greater product suite, understood the buyers really well. Interestingly enough, her value was so recognized that she was pulled a level up. So as a product marketing manager, she was pulled a step higher into the overall head of technology because they saw it as like she should have a even broader view as a product marketing manager. Not calling that right or wrong. Yeah. I'm just saying, interesting enough to your point, Joe, is it's almost like they saw it as like, let's give her even a broader scope of view.
All right, guys, I think it's time we play a game. What do you say?
Let's do it.
I love games.
All right, here's the game. Who owns it? Product manager, product marketing manager.
Ooh, we get points.
Go.
Points are arbitrary and completely on my authority. So get ready, Joe.
I love this. Let's do it.
Todd's kind of game.
That's right. All right, so I'm going to give you a task, and you need to tell me, does it fall under the responsibilities of a product manager or a product marketing manager? Are you ready?
Let's bring it on. Let's do this.
All right. First one. Defining user stories and acceptance criteria for a new feature in the product backlog.
Product manager.
Product manager.
Yeah, that one's easy, right?
You need like buzzer. You need like a buzzer, like
right.
Jeopardy. What is a product manager?
Right. So that's real hands-on. That's like collaboration with development teams. You don't really think about product marketing managers doing that stuff, right? Okay. Right. Next one. Write the email copy and promotional content for launch campaigns.
Product marketing manager.
And another softball. I give you guys two right down the middle change ups.
Belt high.
Yeah. So if we're talking about communicating value to a target audience, there we go. All right. So enough with the easy ones out of the way. Here we go. Conduct competitive research to identify market gaps and inform product strategy.
Dude, I love this question because I think a product manager has to have that skill set.
I would agree.
Has to be doing that.
Oh,
I agree.
So product marketing manager.
If I have both of those on my team,
yes,
I'm splitting hairs now because you talked about two things, and I think in your question, you had two purposes. One purpose was to identify gaps. Another purpose was to actually, you know what? No, I'm gonna stick with it. A product manager. For me, identifying gaps and informing product strategy, does a product manager. Product marketing manager, what I want them to do with the competitive analysis is I want them to understand how to position against these
the positioning.
Context matters.
It's the positioning.
It matters.
Yep.
That's good context. All right, next one. Create a presentation for the sales team to help them articulate the product's value proposition.
That's the product manager's job. 100%.
Product manager, say you.
Yes.
To create
because your sales team is your customer. You will not be successful unless your sales team understands the why, the with them.
But wouldn't a product marketing manager have a responsibility of enabling sales?
I mean, again, there isn't one person with a cape that's doing it all. I mean, it's going to be a collaboration, but the product manager is the driver behind that training.
Interesting.
They're the ones that has the They're the ones that have the intimate details. Like they're going to know the motivation.
Okay.
I'm gonna split some hairs here.
Split some more hairs. I don't have any more left, so go right ahead. Yeah.
I'll split some hairs here. If I have both these on my team, I want them to work together. I know they have to work together on understanding what the value proposition is. So they have to communicate in multiple directions, and they have to be on the same page regarding that. But I'm going to actually have my product marketing manager have those discussions with the sales team. So I split hairs here by saying like they need to work on this, collaborate on this together. But I want the product marketing manager taking the lead on it.
I mean, as long as you have a dialogue with your product marketing manager and they're capable of doing it, I'm fine with that. I think the product marketing manager is going to be identifying like what tools the sales team needs.
Yeah.
What materials they're going to need, how they're going to execute upon that. The branding, the styling, all the brochures, the artifacts are going to be used to promote it. But I still say the training should come from the product manager.
And here's what's funny about that is when I've seen this done in its worst case scenario, what it is the product marketing manager doesn't actually understand the value proposition, doesn't actually understand the problem, doesn't actually understand the why. And so what they do is they're trained by the product manager. They're just kind of like trained, and they run it together and they train and they practice. And the product marketing manager just goes and does what the product manager told them. In which case they just become that guy handing one thing to another team, right? They're useless. So in my ideal scenario here, I'm assuming the product marketing manager has been around discussing the problem since it was first conceived of. And therefore they have the knowledge to be able to do that and validate that and be on the same page with the product manager. If all they're doing is taking Joe's notes, I'm the product marketing manager, Joe's the product manager. If all I'm doing is taking Joe's notes, putting them in a pretty presentation, then I go and present them to sales, I'm not adding value there as a product marketing manager.
All right, well, you guys are doing good so far. Here, I got another one. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Analyze feedback from a beta test and recommend adjustments before full launch.
Product manager.
Yeah, I think I agree with you guys on that one. But where would a product marketing manager come into beta testing? What would they be looking for?
They'd be testing the messaging. Did it resonate?
Pricing,
did
maybe?
Did it follow, did it follow the brand promise?
Yeah.
Right, the key messages.
Is it resonating with the target segment?
The proof points, were the proof points meaningful enough?
Right.
And this is why I actually think it's good to have them sit with the sales team. Because this is where I think they should be able to sit with the sales team and say, hey, when you say it like this, when you say these words, they perk up.
Right.
And they're going to say, you know why I love this? I love this because it gives me better sleep at night. And you're like, I would have never thought of that, but sure, better sleep. Done. There's our message.
There we go.
Get better sleep.
Well, and Ryan, you and I did a podcast with another company on beta testing a while ago. We did. Yeah. And remember, like one of the outcomes of a beta test in many cases is customer quotes, testimonials, story, right?
Case studies. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Here's another one. Are you ready? Conduct qualitative research to build the buyer's journey.
Qualitative.
You know what's funny about that? What's funny about that is when you talked about the difference between a buyer persona and a user persona and the roles with the product marketing manager and product manager, the one thing that stuck out in my mind was the buying journey. I want the product marketing manager to own the buying journey and be able to speak to what awareness looks like, what their process is. Because I also, here's a key outcome, by the way, that I think is more on the product marketing manager than product managers. I want them to shorten that funnel, that path if they can, that journey. I want the product marketing manager to think about how do we take it
quick and easy
3-month timeline? How do we take that down to 2 months?
Yeah.
But I want to emphasize a point. Each of the things you said, Ryan, it's either one person or no people. Both of them are still going to be involved in every single task, minus the user story one, right?
Yeah.
Minus the user story one, right? One person should be the lead and one should have awareness. because you're building context along the way.
All right, here's the last one. And this one has been on my mind lately. Who is responsible for selecting and prioritizing the go-to-market motion for your product?
Okay. Help me here. Go-to-market motion. What do you mean by go-to-market motion?
Okay. Go-to-market motion. Is it inbound? Is it outbound? Is it sales-led? Is it product-led? Is it channel-led? Is it partnership-led? What are we talking about? How do we take that product?
So really what we're saying is, how are we marketing this? How are we actually going to, what does our outreach reach look like? How are we going to actually connect?
How do we hit that target segment?
How are we going to find our audience? How are we going to find our buying segment?
Well, not necessarily find it. We should know our audience. How do we hit a bullseye?
I think it should be the super senior VP of everything. I think whoever the big boss is tells me what to do and I just do it, right? Anyway, that's my sarcastic answer.
It's true in about 98.5% of companies.
But talking about the tail wags the dog, Todd, I know that was sarcastic, but unfortunately, I don't think product managers or product marketing managers are empowered enough to make that decision.
I don't think either of them are, and I don't think either of them do.
But they should be.
What I'm picturing in my head is the lean canvas, right? That's going to be built with the product manager's going to build something.
How do we monetize this? Yeah.
And so ultimately, I interpreted your question. I realize now I interpreted it wrong. I interpret it as like, who's recommending this? Who's taking the lead on making recommendations? Because that's what you can do.
Yeah.
But yes, ultimately, it's not going to be their decision either. In fact, I think if it's any department's decision, it's like the marketing head's decision. Ultimately, who's going to make that call?
Mm-hmm.
But that scenario, Ryan, not only is it product and marketing at the table, but it's also sales.
Yes.
Sure. Because that is a very strategic decision. Our market strategy. How do we fulfill our business strategy?
There may even be more people, right? There may be a partnerships person or something to that extent. Like, it isn't done in a vacuum. Like what you just described.
Yeah.
No.
Isn't one person taking the lean canvas and being like, all right, I'm just going to go type this up and be like, hey, what do you think?
No.
It's something big and significant. That's a cross-functional responsibility that should be led by the product marketing manager with input heavily influenced by product management, marketing, sales, etc.
At our company, that's a cross-functional leadership team.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest, hairiest one that I brought to the table. That's why I saved it for last.
This was well done. I really enjoyed thinking through that.
Yeah. That was really good, Ryan. Well done, my friend.
Thank you.
You know what's funny? We never got points.
Okay.
We're
Todd,
all winners.
Todd, 57 points. Yes. Joe, you for the one answer you gave me, a product manager, I'm giving you 53 points.
Fine.
Yeah.
Fine. Todd's just going to gloat. He's going to have a little sticker on his background. I beat Joe.
Well, should we get to our key takeaways?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I think a well-run organization is going to be cross-functional, and it isn't just one individual that leads to success. Like, I think what really resonates with me is Todd mentioned something about like our resumes and like the outcomes that we put on our resumes. Those are probably going to be the same outcomes the engineering manager puts on his resume or the marketing manager, because ultimately why we all exist, right? As a team, is to drive growth, drive revenue, drive profit, create internal efficiencies. So it isn't one person taking the gold star. I think collectively as a team, we take the gold star.
Dang,
so Joe,
so good.
That's a good key takeaway, but I want you to answer the question, should the roles be combined?
I've seen more success when they're separated.
Keep them separate.
I think you keep them separated. I think you can accomplish more. You can accomplish more. You can delegate. You can allow the product manager to really go out and understand what are the problems we're going to be solving in the next 6, 12, 18 months, or depending on what your product lifecycle. Like, I think there's just a lot of value in unleashing that ability and that time, and the less time the product manager has out there doing discovery, I think that creates risk.
I mean, my big takeaway from this is similar to ones that I've said before, is that defining roles and responsibilities is so important, and it's not talked about enough. We can have very good working relationships with our product marketing managers, and it depends on the type of person we are. Maybe we came from a technical background and it's a little less natural for us to interface with a product marketing manager. Maybe we came from a commercial background and it's more natural to interface with our product marketing managers. But in any case, we got to make friends with them, and we got to talk about where does yours and where is mine, and how do we work together?
Yep.
And from my perspective, should these roles be combined? No, I'm with you, Joe. I think keeping them separate allows the appropriate bandwidth to do it. But I also want to address something. I think this is a miss, guys, if we don't say it. What if you are a product manager right now wearing both hats, product marketing, product manager? Is that okay?
1,000%. As long as you're
absolutely.
clear on expectations with your leader.
Right.
As long as there's clarity on accountability, it can be done. I did it.
Yeah,
it was hard,
yeah.
but it can be
I say
done.
that too. I'll answer the question first, and then I'll give you my takeaway. I think there's situations in which it makes sense for product managers and product marketing managers to be one role. I think especially if you have a single product that doesn't have a lot of updates frequently. You got this one single B2B product that does 4 releases a year. Do you really need a product marketing manager? Probably not.
Yeah.
You probably don't need that. You're a brand new company, you're a small company, you're resource constrained. You have one core product you're trying to find product market fit. Probably don't need that to be 2 separate roles. Most other cases, I think I echo what Joe said. You're able to do more, right? My takeaway here is tangential to what both of you have said, but I'm going to take it a little different direction. We need to get better at defining what our team is.
I love that.
Yeah, that's great.
Do you know what my team is at my company? Who my team is? Who's Todd's team at my company?
I don't know if I know.
Todd's team is the leadership team. My team are my peers that I work with on the level that I'm responsible for. The other heads of the other departments. That's my team. Yeah. I have people who report to me, and we're building this awesome product organization. That's fantastic. And I certainly protect them, but they're not my team.
Right.
When we talk about a team and product, that team is a product manager. It's a product marketing manager. It's a UX designer.
Totally.
It's a lead engineer. These are it's reminded of the Joe you use once in a slide. You use the Star Wars, the Falcon, right?
That's right.
These are the people, right? The Wizard of Oz.
Millennium Falcon with you, baby.
Holding arm in arm, going down the yellow brick road, right? That's a team. I think we have to get better at defining who our team is.
Totally.
That will help you know what outcomes you're driving. Because I agree with you, Joe. Because in the end, everyone on the team is going to have the same results on their resume.
All righty, gentlemen. It's been real on the porch.
Awesome. Yep, as always, fellas.
All right, see you on next time on the porch.
That's right. We'll see you guys.
I would call engineering the scarecrow. I would call UX design the Tin Man, and I would call product marketing the lion. Oh, I forgot. And sales is Toto.
Oh, no.
Thank you for joining us on the Product Porch. We release new episodes every 2 weeks. You can also find us on LinkedIn for more content. We offer a special thank you to AJ and Jack Block here for the music. The views and opinions expressed by the hosts of this podcast are their own and do not represent nor necessarily reflect those of their employer.